Hello and welcome to another wonderful talk on the Positive Future for Health podcast. I'm your host, Althea Finch. I'm the creator of the Pain Free Method, how to be pain free by tuning into you. And you can find all the details of that on painfreedom.co.uk. And as well as teaching my method, Pain Free, I also run this podcast with the most amazing guests. Do come along to book yourself onto the next ones. And tonight we have wonderful Alan Ball. And I met Alan recently at the Sun and Moon, a fantastic festival that I do recommend. And we got chatting. I went to his, he was I regularly heard people come to that festival to go to Alan's classes, Alan's talk. I don't know if you've heard that, Alan, but I heard all the time, what is this, Alan? I have to go to his thing. So I did go to his thing. He had the this fantastic, lovely big room, and we're all lying on the floor. And he was teaching us what he's going to talk about tonight, which is breath therapy. And I really resonate with the work he's doing. I think you're going to love this. So, Alan, what is this breath therapy? But before even that, who are you? Why do you do what you do? What got you into all of this?
Who am I?
You.
I discovered purely by chance breathwork about 7 years ago. I was fortunate enough to be gifted a a ticket for a breath workshop in London, and I can remember it vividly. It was a Sunday morning. I accepted the gift a few months previous, and then the day of the workshop was a very rainy January Sunday morning, and I'd had a very bad back, having really bad back spasms, and really didn't want to go. But the person that had gifted me the ticket was a very lovely, special, wonderful person. I thought I can't let them down, and so I trotted along to Marylebone, and couldn't even. My back was so bad I couldn't even sit down on the train. Eventually got to the studio in Marylebone, yoga studio. There were 50 mats laid out, and I said to the facilitator, I got there really early. I said to the facilitator that I had a bad back, and I couldn't do anything because I had absolutely no idea what I was going to. And to be honest, the person I was then, had I known, I would have said no. I would have said no, not a chance. But luckily, I had no idea. So I'd accepted the invite. Yeah, yeah, I'll go, and there I was. And so I was told by the lovely facilitator, don't worry, all you're going to do is lie down and you're going to breathe. So I picked the 50 mats. I picked the one in the corner, away from everybody else, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go through the motions, lie there, might even have a sleep. I'll just pretend I'm doing whatever I need to do, and then I'll head back to the train. So I guess without knowing it, I'd gone without absolutely any expectations, and because of that, I had the most cathartic experience I'd ever had in my life, and I had an out of body sensation during the breathe. I had this incredible energetic connection. Felt I was a kind of a Marvel superhero. I had light shining out of my hands. And then finally, as we came out of the long breathe, I just couldn't stop crying. I had no idea why. I had no thoughts in my head. There was nothing going on, and yet I just completely sobbed. It took me a while to get my head together and head back home. And without realizing that, for me, was the catalyst to really a life changing journey. And I then headed back to my corporate life, my corporate world, trying to earn as much money as I could, trying to get as powerful as I could. And then something just didn't feel right. Something wasn't right. And I'd felt up until then that I was missing something, but naively thought it may be money, bigger house, bigger car, more power. And it suddenly dawned on me that this breath work this spooky world that I'd stumbled across could potentially be a real insight into more about who and what I was. So I started to practice more regularly, and the great thing about this type of breath work is that you can do as little as 10 minutes a day. And then, as I know now, I became more conscious. And the universe delivered a message via a social media message with an opportunity to train to become a breathwork facilitator. And
I love it how universe just asking it's given. Through.
exactly. And previously, I would have had my head buried so deeply in bank accounts and the latest Audi or a sales seminar or whatever. And luckily, being more conscious and more awake to this opportunity. And so, yeah, I was fortunate in that opportunity as well to because the workshop I attended was run by Alan Dolan of Breath Guru. And again, at the time, I had no idea. So I'm putting it down to the universe again. They introduced me to Alan. And the great thing about the next 12 months, and that's how long we trained, was that the training ultimately is our self-discovery. So everything we did, whether it was one-to-one breathing as a small training group of four, our catch-up meetings, the reading we were doing, the shadow work was all about ultimately ourselves. And even that, to me, I had no idea when I signed up to become a facilitator. And who knows? Again, I may have turned around and said, "No, no, no, I've got no baggage. What's all that rubbish about? I don't need to discover who I am. I know exactly who I am." And fast forward, that 12 months was really life changing. And I felt at the time that I felt like I was a magician. I'd been shown this incredible, simple, gentle, connected yin breath that I could share that was life changing. It was literally like being shown a magic trick. And yeah, I've loved every minute. I've been facilitating now for about 5 years. As well as the breath work, I work with acupressure. So we work with the meridians on the body, and that again has been brilliant. Learning more about the body itself. So on a
That part
personal,
was that part of the course, Alan, that you did the meridians and the points and things?
yeah, part of the way that we're taught, and that's the other great thing about breath work. There's good and positive. There's positive and negative. One of the positives are that different facilitators will have slightly different styles. Some are more hands off, some are more hands on, and part of our training is to work in conjunction with the breath and the acupressure points on the body, because the body's holding on to that trauma, that anxiety, that stress. So, in conjunction with the breath, what we're doing is we're pinpointing maybe where the breath isn't going or the vibrations in the body, and we're helping the body ultimately remove whatever it needs to remove. So, that training I had again, thanking the universe, was perfect for me, and it's worked well since. It's completely transformed my life. I now
What
realise.
what happened with your corporate job, and then you did the course? Was it presumably during your corporate job and the course, presumably?
Well, I must
Like,
I must confess, and I know it was a difficult time for some, but I was quite fortunate in a way that in my emails overnight, yeah, basically COVID was a time for me where my emails just stopped. So I all of a sudden had this capacity, and I honestly think if it wasn't for my breath work, mentally I would have really struggled. It's been a rock and a regular practice anyway for me, so I still practice pretty much every day. But at the time, it was mentally it was a real lifesaver, and that created the capacity for me to dive into me deeper and to really start to practice and to look more internally, and also to look at my life, my parents, my siblings, my social network, and in turn my job. So ultimately my focus shifted, and I realized that Um, it wasn't money or the latest car that I needed to chase, but the excitement of finding out more about who I was, and actually the benefits physically and mentally and spiritually were a complete game changer. So from that moment on, really, it's been a huge turning point in my life. Um, and yeah, it's been a real positive stepping stone for me personally.
Wonderful. And it sounds like it's like divine timing with COVID stepping in to just shut your life off like that. And then you had that to absorb into and go on your new journey. So I think for COVID, I saw that a lot in the beginning of COVID. I was on a lot of sort of women's yoga groups online, and they were lots of all sorts of people, lots of city people, I think, nine to fivers and things. And I saw the freak out and the fear of people suddenly being faced with all the thoughts and all the feelings and all the family and four walls and complete shift. And I saw that a lot that I mean I was a therapist already, so I knew all about, I practiced a lot of meditation and going within and all the rest of it, but most people don't, I guess. And I think that's been a wonderful thing with COVID, of the good side of things, that it made people like yourself go in, listen to you, tune in.
Yeah, agree completely. If you've said to me before about self-discovery, I would have related that again to success, and success in the form of finance, size of your house, job. Now I see that that's about being connected to my feelings and my emotions, and actually making choices. And that's been a big word for me when I work with my clients. It's the realization that we have the choice, we have the power to make choices, and there's not necessarily a wrong or a right choice, but it's knowing that the choices we make are so important, and that we get. I was clearly being pulled in a direction that you'll see me doing a lot during the course, and I know I did it a lot when we were at Sun and Moon, and I kind of just move my hands a lot, because that's where, when we talk about the breath, but whenever I'm having conversations now, you'll see me doing this like some karate expert. But I was definitely living here, and I was being driven through life by my ego. And for me, self-discovery was here. It was getting to know who I was, my feelings, my emotions, and saying, no, I don't want to go in that direction. I don't want to be with that group of people. I don't. It doesn't resonate with me anymore. And the Sun and Moon, I think I said in a couple of the workshops, it's about what 95% feminine. And to be in an environment like that with that amazing, beautiful feminine energy, compared to the kind of masculinity of the corporate world, has just been wonderful. And again, it's allowed me to have a better balance in my life. The yin and the yang. Whereas before I was definitely yang. So it's been an absolute real game changer for me.
And how's your life changed? I mean, have all your ex-friends, are they ex still, or what's your life look like now that you're more balanced and you've got the yin and the yang going on? And
Um, personally, it's brilliant, and it's interesting because yeah, my friends, it's interesting. I still have some very good friends, and they'll skirt around the subject of breath work. I've just completed 6 months of a shamanic pathway as well, and I've learned a lot about shamanic healing,
ah,
and and again, I'll socialize, and we'll skirt around certain issues, and I can be with certain groups, and then there are other people that aren't necessarily so apparent in my life anymore, that have kind of distanced. So yeah, it's changed a lot, but it's been a real positive. And the other thing I've learned is that those people that truly care about me and truly want me to be the best version of me are still around. And maybe those people that aren't necessarily comfortable with their own lives and their own pathways are happier kind of choosing to carry on in that direction again, which is fine. And they don't necessarily frequent my social scenes. I'd much rather sit and read a good book now and have a coffee or a chat around wellness and mental health. And I spend quite a lot of time, with clients and talking to people about, how they can change their lives. And I'd say for me, that's much more enjoyable than some of the rubbish I used to get involved and talk about.
Sounds really positive and flowing and organic and feeling your way into the life that that feels right for you, Alan. And tell us about what's it like? What do you somebody comes to you and what do you do with them? Is it groups or one to one? Would they expect when they come to you?
Um, Good question. It depends. Sun and Moon. So if we take the Sun and Moon or any of the festivals I work at, I was at Butterfield last year. I hope to be there again this year. I would work with large, up to 50, reduce the breath time so that I can accommodate and safely hold the space. Ideally, a workshop for me is no more than six, and the reason for that is because of the acupressure. Um, and I offer one-to-ones. I don't necessarily work with Zoom. I have done, and we were having a conversation about that earlier on. I tend to find I'm all about energy, and being in the room and incorporating acupressure is a real plus. So having a small group and being able to focus on a small group is ideally the way it works for me. A lot of people will have expectations. There are quite a lot of different styles of breath work out there. There's a lot of fear. Most people will say, I really want to come to your workshop, but I don't want to cry, or, yeah, I'm going to come and I know I'm never going to see them. And I'm sure you get that. I really
Yeah.
want to, yeah, I could really do with this, or I could really do with that. So, yeah, it just depends. I suppose the other really good thing about what I do is quite a lot of people haven't experienced it before. So, they come a bit like me without any expectations, and it's much easier to work with someone if they have no expectations. The second and third or fourth or fifth time someone comes, it can be a little bit more challenging because they may have had a big connection, they may have had an emotional experience, and of course they come back and so they move away from I don't really want to cry to I really want to cry like that again. And at Sun and Moon, it was quite funny because there was a lady there, and she said, she'd have someone wander past her tent, and that they could see that they were quite emotional, and she'd say, "Oh, you've been to one of Alan's workshops." And as I say to them, it's not me. I'm holding space. The experience they have is
Not my
them.
fault. It was amazing because when you had that fantastic room it was a beautiful old school, everyone, and it was stunning. And they had this great big balcony room, enormous big room, and there must have been, I don't know, at least 20 people. You say six, but that must have been at least everybody kept coming in and coming in and then coming in. Well, you were the reason they were there. And I thought, oh, try this Alan's thing. What are they all talking about? I've got to try it out. So I went in there as well, squeezed in, and yeah, I mean, you went around and showed us all the breath thing, and then how to do it, and then a couple of people. I mean, one woman was just absolutely bawling and bawling and bawling, wasn't it? And unfortunately, she was right by the door. So poor woman. Oh, we were laughing and feeling sorry for her, but we were sort of stepping over. So sorry, but bawling away. Excuse me, trying to get out at the end. It was very funny, crazy moment. But yeah, she was uncontrollably crying, wasn't it? And
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't cry, but I didn't know what to expect. But it was, I tell you what, when I came into your class, I've been doing a lot of talks in the last couple of years, and sometimes my ego or my thoughts get away with me, and I'm trying to do my best of giving my knowledge, but I have a lot of negative thoughts. I had a lot of negative thoughts that day. I remember I was talking to you about it, and all that gremlin in your head job. And I thought, this is driving myself crazy. And it was, and then I did your class and I practiced the technique you showed us over the next couple of days, and it was bloody brilliant, bloody brilliant. And every time I had those gremlins, I did your technique, and it's almost like it's yes, they're there, but it's not affecting me.
mm,
Yes, they're there, but my focus is here. And I did that special practice you do, and it's been amazing. When I came back, I I still had this strong, this horrible words in my head job. And I kept using it coming back, and I have different stresses and things. And every time I get the stresses, I was using it. It was brilliant. It's just fantastic. And then after a while, I forgot about it. So thank you so, so much. And so, can you tell us the technique? What is the technique? What did you do with this?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah. And just to pick up on what you said, I think one of the challenges that we all have is that this voice inside our head, the ego, and it's whenever I mention that, I could be at a workshop, you can see people say, "Oh, I don't know what he's talking about. I haven't got an ego." I've
I've
not.
got an ego.
Everybody has an ego, and that ego, that's the thing that can hold us back. That's driving our car through life, and it's that ego that's telling us that we're not worthy, we don't fit in, we need to change. And ultimately we find ourselves a bit like yourself. It may be that what you're doing is you're attracting people into your vortex, into your energy field, into your classes, that don't resonate with you because you're not being who you are, and that's why it's so
Exactly.
important.
Oh
It's
yeah, that was the other thing, wasn't it? I did class that the day before, and the class after my class after your class. And the day before, I had some really lovely people, but very, very opposite of people who are going to like my stuff. And it was just like trudging through mud and trying to teach them, and they're just not having it. It was really tough. And then, of course, I came to your class. I told you, didn't I? We spoke about this. And then I did my class. It was the opposite. Couldn't get enough of me. And what do you mean, Althea? And like, how do you find out? And what's really engaged? And it was chalk and cheese. So,
Yeah, and it's no fluke. I mean, ultimately, when
no.
we're becoming the best version of ourselves, and we've removed that mask, and we're just who we are, we will attract people into our lives that will resonate with, because that's us. Um, and it's a difficult thing. It is a really difficult thing in the world we live in. We need to be seen to be agreeing with people, or to be liking certain posts, or to be actively, eating the right foods, or to fit in. But ultimately, once we become, or start to become, more around the person we are, all of a sudden things get easier. And yeah, it's not. I'm not saying that we don't ever question what we do, because again, that's the ego. Look at me, I'm brilliant, there's no one like me, and I'm fantastic. And no, of course not. We still, I look at workshops and think, how could I change that? Could I have said something slightly different? I'm always reading, I'm always learning. So for me, life now every day is exciting because I'm learning and I'm evolving and I'm changing. But what I'm trying to do is to stay in connection to my feelings and my emotions, and being the best version of me. And that's exactly what you experience. So, but the technique, because I'm waffling on. Apologies. I
Hey,
could
waffle on.
the technique. So ultimately, as I said, there are quite a few breath practice out there. The most infamous, shall we say, is Mr. Wim Hof, and Wim Hof
Mm.
is a Scandinavian gentleman that loves to be seen in very tight speedos. He's got a beard, and it involves ice baths, and it's a very positive thing to do. It's a very healthy thing to do, but it's a very yang practice. So unsurprisingly, you'll find a lot more men at Wim Hof's workshops or retreats than you will with my technique, which is a shame actually, because I think if a lot more men connected to their yin energy, then we'd be in a slightly better place. But that's another topic for another day.
Hang
So
on, but Eka says Wim Hof is Dutch. Whoops.
sorry,
I don't know.
Dutch. My
Dutch.
geography is not a strong point. I'm certainly not.
Well done. Yeah, thank
But
you.
Dutch, sorry, Dutch. Apologies. He's a very nice Dutch gentleman. So anyway, his breath work is very yang. He works with the chest and the belly. The practice I work with is it's technically it's called a conscious connected breath, and it's a very yin breath. So it's a sort of practice that you should be able to do for hours. It's comfortable, and at any time, if you feel uncomfortable, then you can stop. There's never any pressure to breathe. So it's a self-healing breath. So ultimately, your body is going to move into a self-healing mode. Um, it's an autopilot reset style. So anything that's out of alignment, the body is going to start to bring it back in. And then ultimately, because we work in the diaphragm, it opens up your respiratory system. So the more efficient you're breathing, the more oxygen you're bringing to the body, the healthier you're going to be, because that immune system is really going to benefit from the additional oxygen. So physically, it's a real winner. Mentally as well, it deletes any noise, any negativity. As I said, for me, it's been controlling that ego. So it's been noticing when that moves up, and then spiritually, and that's a slightly different subject for all of us, and I'm certainly not going to go too deep for that one. But for me, it's been a real life changer, getting to know more about who and what I am. And as I said, that's kind of led me to do some shamanic training as well, which has given me the opportunity to learn more about me and spirit and so on and so forth. So I'm biased, but I personally think this is a real superpower. And ultimately, 85, roughly 85% of the population are breathing into their chest. So when we're born, we're pretty much born as belly breathers. You know, we spend our life here. We're sleeping as babies. We wake up, we cry, we get fed, we come down, we digest. We want more food, we come back here. So ultimately, we're spending the majority of our time in our diaphragm. We're breathing lovely and slowly and deep. What happens as we're exposed to more stress and trauma is we get stuck. So ultimately, it's a bit like driving your car in second gear and or third gear and not listening to the engine, the revs. Engine might overheat, the gearbox just isn't going to like it. The same thing happens with our bodies. Our bodies aren't designed to live here. So ultimately, our bodies will start sending us messages. It may be your digestive system's playing up, lack of sleep, you feel overwhelmed, your body can't regulate any more trauma or anxiety because it's overloaded. It can't process. So the smallest thing could tip you over the edge. So what we do with this practice is we move our attention from here and we bring it down to the breath. So it's an abdominal breath. So ultimately it's yin. I can go through the technique now if you like. I'm not sure where we are
Yeah.
time-wise. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can squeeze it in, and 5, 10 minutes. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, absolutely. So there are five.
Everyone, everyone up for a bit of guidance? Yeah, you want to try this amazing breathwork thing? Looks like a yes.
Cool. So there are five parts to this technique, and 5 minutes or 10 minutes, however long we've got. I guess the idea of the podcast isn't really for anyone to have a session as such. But anyway, I'll try and give you the gist of the practice. So there's five parts to the technique. So the first part is we use our mouth. And yes, it's for a lot of people, it's quite uncomfortable because the other thing we're wary of is resistance, because this thing does not want to let go, this ego. So as soon as you start doing this, the mouth, oh, I'm not sure I can do that. Yeah, your mouth's going to be dry. You're going to want to lick your lips or swallow. You can lick your lips or swallow, not a problem. So ultimately, what we're going to do is drop our jaw, and with the finger, make sure our mouth's nice and wide. Doesn't need to be forced open, you're just gently dropping your jaw. Second thing is we're going to be breathing in to the diaphragm. So you put one or both hands beneath the belly button, and then we're going to take that inhale through the mouth. The third thing is the breath is connected. So when we breathe in, once we finish the breath in, we breathe out. Once we finish the breath out, we breathe in. So the breath is often referred to as a circular breath, okay? It's continuous. Normally when we breathe in, we breathe out, we pause. We're going to delete the pause. So the breath is continuous, inhale and exhale, okay? But it's a slow, connected breath. The fourth thing is the exhale. The exhale is short and soft, just like we're fogging a mirror. or cleaning our glasses. It's not a blow. Or you could say it's like the sound of the letter H. And the final thing is the emphasis. The emphasis is all on the inhale. We're going to be bringing in the good stuff, our chi, our life force, through our mouth, inflating our belly. So we want to exaggerate that breath slightly. We want the breath to be, the inhale to be about 3 to 4 times bigger than the exhale. The exhale is short and sweet. So when we put them all together, we take a nice big inhale. At the top of the inhale, short, soft sigh. We let the belly drop. We're not pulling it in. We allow the belly to drop. And at the bottom, we breathe in again to connect the breath. All right. The inhale is nice and slow. Exhale is short and soft. You let the belly drop, and then slow inhale, nice and exaggerated, and then let go at the top. Allow the belly to drop and then pick it up again. So ultimately the belly is moving up. You're letting go with a short, soft sigh. The belly is dropping and then you're coming back up. So you're connecting that breath. Now, as I said, your mouth's going to feel dry. You're going to want to lick your lips. You can do. You can swallow. Just keep coming back to the breath. Your focus is on your hands. So just see if you can start to feel your hands. Closing your eyes, taking a nice, big, exaggerated inhale. Short, soft sigh at the top, and then letting the belly drop, and then right at the bottom, as it's going to drop, you pick it up and go again with your inhale, and then dropping the exhale. As I said, the key to this is the slow inhale. If you start off really quickly, you're going to end up hyperventilating. It's a real slow, exaggerated inhale and a short, soft sigh. Focus on the feeling through those hands as you feel the belly rise. At the top, let go with that short, soft sigh. Allow the belly to drop, and then at the bottom of the exhale, pick it up once again with a nice long inhale. And as we say, resistance, ignore resistance. Resistance comes in the form of, am I doing it properly? What time is it? I'm hungry. What's that noise? What can I feel? Am I going to cry? Am I going to laugh? Just keep doing it. Keep breathing in and out and focus on those hands. If you're sitting down and it's hard, focus on your toes, your feet, wiggle your toes. Bring the inhale as low as you can in your body. We're moving the focus from our heads down to our feet. We want the energy to go lower. Keep breathing into the belly and letting go at the top. And at any time, if you feel uncomfortable, you can stop. But remember, the ego doesn't want you to carry on. It wants you to continue to be controlled by that voice inside your head. So it's a nice, slow, exaggerated inhale, and at the top, a short, soft sigh. Breathing in, sighing at the top, allowing the belly to drop, and then breathing back in. That's it. And what it isn't is a push or a pull. It's an inflation and then a deflation, but the sigh and then the body is still exhaling, but we're not. So it's not something we're doing and actioning. It's the body that's exhaling. That's it. And then what we do when we stop is just close your mouth. Just relax, keep your eyes closed. Allow the body to breathe. You don't need to breathe. Allow the body to breathe for you. And just check in with the mind. Just notice any changes. And then check in with the body and notice any sensations, any emotions, any feelings. We've only been breathing for a short time, but just notice and just allow whatever is or isn't there. And then I want you to notice your breathing. So notice how your breath feels, and more importantly, notice where you're now breathing, and notice the speed of your breath. And then using your nose, just taking a few gentle deep breaths in and out of your nose, just gradually bringing your awareness back into the room. Doing any stretches, listening to your body, wiggling your feet, your toes, your fingers. Cool. So
Wonderful.
that was really short. It's not normally that short. Hopefully, hopefully it'll give you an insight into the power of the breath. And again, for me, you can do this online. I always think the first time you do anything like this, being with a facilitator is really going to help, because it's that acupressure. It's the acupressure beneath the diaphragm that's really going to help you relax. And then, yeah, I'm not saying Zoom doesn't work, but you can migrate to Zoom. But for me personally, I'd always prefer to be in the room with someone when they're going to do this for the first time, because it's really easy to pick up bad habits.
Whereabouts are you, Alan?
Well, I tend to work in West Sussex, Surrey.
Oh,
Having said that,
I'm really.
New
I'm in
Forest.
Morden.
Sorry.
I'm in Morden, South London.
There you go. London, I'm in, but having said that, New Forest, I'm up in Yorkshire in a couple of weeks. I'm pretty happy to go anywhere, and I will. I'll literally, if there's a small group, I do a lot of women's only groups. I've worked with men only groups. I also do quite a lot of voluntary stuff down at the Royal Surrey with the nurses 3 times a month, and that's interesting, getting an opportunity to talk to them about how they're managing their stress and their anxiety, and also the importance about, getting that breath back down to the belly. So ultimately, this is fear. We don't want to be living in fear, we want to be living in love. So it's getting them to return back to the belly. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. Same with the festivals. I love traveling. I've got my van, and I'm passionate about doing this. So yeah,
And on your website, do you have a list of where your events are, what events you're attending?
I do. I've got a list on my website of events. I've got little audio on there for 10 minutes, and I've just got on YouTube. I've got a recap of the instructions, and I've also got a demo. And I've also got an audio that I'm happy to share, and all that stuff's free of charge. So if anyone wants to contact me, I'm more than happy. There's an 11-minute guided session that I can send through that you can just use as and when you want to.
That's amazing. That would be absolutely perfect to start people off or and get them started with it.
Yeah.
And Rose says, "Thank you. Really enjoyed that. We'll do more of this type of breath work." So we'll open up to questions. I'll make it so that you can all unmute if you want to. Just give me a second. Press the right button. So if you want to ask Alan some direct questions, go ahead. Sally?
Yeah, I'd like to talk. Hello, Alan.
Hi, yeah.
It's so interesting because I really wanted to know about the breath work because in 1982 I went to California and trained with Leonard Orr, who was the founder of Conscious Connected Breathing. And yeah, spent two years there, became his personal assistant, and practiced breath work for 12 years when I came
Wow.
back to Britain. So I'm really curious how it has developed, and I like it because our sessions were 3 hours long. It's very long,
Yeah,
very
you can.
long, very intense.
Yeah, I can imagine. And the great thing about this is you can do this for as little as 10 minutes. The interesting thing
Mm.
is 3 hours is, having 3 hours, let's be honest, having 3 hours to breathe is a luxury in itself. And our training, we did long sessions. And the other interesting thing with this is that you can get a bigger connection or just the biggest connection out of 10 minutes than you can out of 3 hours. And I've had people at workshops where, I'll do a taster session and they'll breathe for 10 minutes. And I have one particular man, it would be a man, oh, I really wanted to carry on. I really wanted to carry on. And then I've had someone, because I always do a practice at my small workshops before we go into a bigger breathe. And I've had someone that had a huge connection in 10 minutes. And then when we did the main breathe, they didn't have the connection because the expectations were present. And it's that kind of expectation that's there. But yeah, how wonderful to come across that so long ago. And of course, the man himself. So yeah, superb.
Yeah. What I like about this is that it's refined, because we used to do mouth breathing, nose breathing, and Leonard was always, experimenting. He was very much an experimental person. And in just doing these 10 minutes, 5 minutes, I feel calmer, and I can really see that it's a very focused breath. And I'm really happy to see how it's developed, and I'll work with it. And thank you so much. You seem a lovely person, and it's so great that you're sharing this with all your passion and heart.
That's very kind of you. Thank you. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for joining.
He's so
Thank
chill, I
you.
tell you. I was the whole week with Alan at the Sun and Moon, and every time I saw him, he had a crowd around him, talking, giving, talking, explaining, and engaging into what somebody was that they're sharing and stuff. The whole week. I don't know how you did it, Alan. So giving. It's very present with people.
Yeah, I just again, it's part of being more conscious, and the one thing I think I'm aware of is that you learn so much off of each other. It's just listening to someone's journey about their challenges and what they do and how they've been affected. It's said earlier on, every day is there's so many opportunities to learn, and I just feel blessed that I was I was conscious enough to find this thing in the first place, and that I'm not out there, and I'm not knocking anyone that is, because for some people that's their happy place. Fantastic. I just think that for some of us that potentially were never happy, there are so many things out there that can enable us to be better connected to us. Yeah.
Totally. Totally. Do you have another question, anybody? Like to unmute and just ask your question to Alan? Click that unmute. Karen, did you want to ask something? No. Um, so what was going on? Why do some people burst out in tears and some, I mean, I didn't burst out in tears, but I found your method um surprisingly simple and surprisingly effective, and it shifted things. I love the part that you're saying about I know it sounds silly, I guess, but you just said be you. Don't try to sort of whatever, just be you. And then you attract the same. And I had that in my mindset going to my second class. And it was a totally different experience from the first day. Lovely people, but just opposite the first day, and very engaging in the next day.
Yeah, the body during this style of breath work, ideally what we're trying to do in switching off the ego, through life, we ultimately we collect trauma, we collect anxiety, we collect stress, and we pick this rubbish up as we go. And the body will hold this. It holds it in your fascia, your soft tissue. Anger, people's shoulders. I'm not going to let this go. I'm really angry. Or if someone's got an injury, you'll find that you're stiff around the area, and that's trauma that's going to stay. So one way the body removes rubbish, let's say, is by crying. And again, we can be in situations, and working at the Royal Surrey, I'm fully aware that they're in environments where they can't show emotion because that's their job. Or in, let's say, the military, they're trained and they're ultimately rewired. So as soon as you feel emotion, and again, a lot of people will do this. I can't cry. The first thing they do is hold their breath. And that, whatever the body was going to release, that's pushed down. And we constantly might do this. We constantly might just push this stuff further and further down or in filing cabinets. And this practice, this breath style, is a way of the body, so switching off the ego and allowing the body, so it's like taking the body to the gym. The body is opening these filing cabinets, and it may be that for a particular person, the way the body is going to remove whatever it needs to remove is by crying. It could be that, and again, I've had someone at a workshop cry and then next to them someone laughing. It may be that the body shakes, and I work a lot with ex-military who've got severe PTSD, and that's referred to as a neurogenic tremor. And again, it's something that we all have, and you see it in the animal kingdom where an impala will be caught by a cheetah or a lion, and it manages to get away, and you see it run off into the distance. It shudders and it's removing the trauma. Again, we have that ability, but over time it's just been switched off. So again, you can see with people who've got severe PTSD that they'll shake. The great thing is that once we get used to it, and once we get used to feeling the belly rise and fall, as long as we're focusing on our hands and the movement of the breath, there is nothing going on here. So with, for example, military, we're not asking them to relive the experience. They're not thinking, they're not seeing anything. They may be shaking, they may be crying, they may be laughing, but all they're doing is focusing on their breath. Yes, they become aware that they're crying, we send them back to their hands. It may be they're aware they're laughing, coming back to the breath. And that's what it's about. And whilst you're there, you're connected. The body is just deleting. And yet, because of the world we live in, it's a bit like me, that first experience. I wanted to know, why did I cry? What was going on? Google, why was I crying? Ultimately, we don't need to know why. We're back here. What we need to do is to accept that the body just needed to delete whatever it needed to do. I had, during my training, I did a water breathe, and this is where we wore a kind of avatar mask with a snorkel, and we were lying flat. And 1 minute I was counting the bugs on the bottom of the pool, trying to stay in, because my ego was telling me, look, the other 3 people on the course were all female and they did 20 minutes. You've got to stay in the pool for 20 minutes. I was shivering. And then the mask started to leak. And of course, I started to think about drinking the pool water, because I couldn't, as the man, I couldn't go up after 10 minutes. And then bang, I saw myself as a fetus. I was having contractions. My body moved around into a fetal position because I was having a rebirthing experience. So, and that's a great example of where, in the midst of the ego trying to keep control, if you can keep the rhythm of the breath, some amazing things can happen. And for whatever reason, my body wanted to take me back to my birth, to see me as a fetus, to feel the contractions, to move into a fetal position, because it wanted to remove some trauma. And it may have been related to my birth, but again, the great thing is, I don't need to know. All I need to know is it's gone. It's gone. Whatever it was has gone. So you feel lighter. Your body feels lighter. You're not emotional, because you're not making decisions from here. You're making decisions from here, gut decisions. Again, I can remember my wife when I came back from my training and I got angry, and she said to me, "Oh, I didn't think you did anger anymore." No, I don't from here. Not from here. I do it from here. I can get
From
angry.
here.
Yeah, I can get angry, but it's not emotional. I'm here, and yeah, that's there for a reason. That's fight or flight. It's to protect me. But
Yes,
ultimately, I want to live my life here. This is love. This is controlled. So yeah, it's, some people do cry. Ultimately, some people want to cry and they don't. So as I say, some people laugh. The great thing about this as well is everyone's different. Everyone's experience from birth to this present moment is different. We have different baggage. But this practice, no matter what your journey, can help you remove.
absolutely. And you're talking about the mother, the sister, the past, the present, or something. What was that, Alan?
This
You're saying?
Was this the acupressure points?
Yes, and
Yes.
you kept saying this is the something and the something and
So,
the this. And the...
so yeah, so the acupressure points we work with, the meridians in your body, so it's Chinese medicine. So potentially these 2 points here, then again, quite an interesting thing to start doing when you look at bodies. So you'll find that actually most ladies will have their right shoulder slightly higher than the left. This is your yin energy, that's your yang energy. Receptive, expressive. Most men, and I see a lot of gentlemen, and I can say this because I'm a man. They'll come out of the gym, they'll be rippling in muscles, and you'll see they're like this, and their left shoulder's here and their right shoulder's here, and yeah, it's great because they're working on their physical appearance and it's masculinity. What they're not doing is looking after their left hand side. So you tend to find most men will have injuries down their right hand side. Right hip, right knee. Most ladies down the left. Of course, there are variations and depends on the individual. So ultimately, by working on these 2 points, this compassion point, for example, so during a breath practice, this is compassion point for us. This is yin. Compassion for others, forgiveness. This is where we carry a lot of guilt, for forgiving us for things we may or may not have done, forgiving others for what they may or may not have done to us. Your lunar and your solar plexus in here, again, these are points we use. Father, mother, sit here. This is your fear belt. This is where
But what's
all,
the father? That's the father mother. Is it in the same place? Is it?
yeah, so you've got your lunar and your solar plexus. So your solar plexus is just beneath your rib cage and your lunar is 2 fingers down. And you've got father sun, mother moon. And there's these 2 points here. Your rib cage here, this is your fear belt. And again, this is where we hold a lot of nervous energy, anxiety. So if we're lucky enough, we go on a first date or we have a job interview, or we maybe nowadays we send an email to someone we shouldn't have sent it to, and we get butterflies in our stomach. And that's where it sits. So you can imagine if we're living our lives here, all of our energy is here. We're breathing into our chest. There's nothing going on here. It's rusting away. We've also got stress, anxiety. No wonder a digestive system isn't going to function properly because there's nothing going on. So moving the attention back by bringing the breath back here, by allowing the body to start to remove trauma, anxiety, stress, and bringing that energy back. Yeah, you're going to see a difference with your digestive system. And it's not uncommon during breath practice. You're gurgling, people might be burping because
Yeah.
the digestive system is saying, at last, fantastic, I've got some energy. Your cogs are moving, everything is moving. So again, we carry stuff on our hips, our left calf, our right calf, our inner thigh, our left inner thigh, our right inner thigh. Again, it's all related to the yin and yang. And these are the points that certainly I use during the breath work. Left calf is potentially a timeline from birth to present. Right calf is all about being grounding. And you've got masculine image, feminine image. You get a lot of people that come to breath work potentially that, we talk about being the best version of ourselves, that clearly, they're not loving and accepting their own self-image, their self-worth. And that again can be present, the things that as a facilitator I can see the vibrations. I had one particular lady that
That's a big one, isn't it? Of value and being seen and being heard, and I think for a lot of people, self-worth.
yeah, just in the throat in here, you can get people start coughing during breath work, and that again is related to it's safe to be heard. It's safe to speak the truth. And I if I've got anyone that's married there, I just remind them I'm not encouraging anyone to go home and tell their partner exactly what they think, but just to maybe reflect on the fact that they're not actually being heard. No one is listening to me, or I'm not actually using my own voice to say, no, I don't want to do that, or no, I'm unhappy, or no, you've upset me. This is how you've made me feel. And this can be related in here. Again, I had a particular client that was grinding his teeth. He was only young, he's a 20-year-old, and he was grinding his teeth when he slept. And during a breathwork class, his jaw started to move. So just release the energy from his jaw. And the conversation we had afterwards, ultimately, when he was a child of 4 or 5, first time he ever went to the dentist, for some strange reason, he just did this with his jaw 60 times. And his experience of the dentist was a really positive thing. So from that moment on, as a child, whenever he did anything that he was afraid of or nervous, he would do this with his jaw. And ultimately, that energy sits in his jaw. So, of
Wow.
course, during breath work, it was no wonder the body was saying, fantastic, I want to remove the energy. I want to remove the energy. So.
Amazing. And Jackie said, thank you. My first time to join something since the loss of her husband, crying at the beginning, but calmed through you joining and joined in the breath work. First time she's come onto something since her husband left.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you for sharing.
Well done, Jackie. Wonderful. And Karen says, very good and interesting. Thank you. I look forward to the 11-minute guided session. Me too. I'm on it. Wonderful. And anyone like to ask any more questions? We've nearly finished the call. So, Sally, you've got your hand up. I'm just going to ask anybody else before we go to Sally, because you've asked something already. Anybody else wants to ask or unmute? No? Sally, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's so fascinating, and I love your examples, Alan, of how it's helped people. So, so the impetus really is to do diaphragmatic breathing and to be less in the thinking mode. Is that right? In general, in life, the help through this breath.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you think about the car analogy, a car isn't designed to travel constantly in second gear or third gear. It has a 4, a 5, and a 6. Our bodies aren't designed to breathe here. So ultimately, even if you don't necessarily just regularly practice a conscious connected breath, just practicing a diaphragmatic breath, so bringing your breath back to where it was when you were born, is going to be a positive thing, because it's moving you from here to here. This is a higher heart rate, higher blood pressure. This is lower heart rate, lower blood pressure. Parasympathetic nervous system, sympathetic nervous system, as simple as that. That's the science. With regards to the mind, the conscious connected breath, feeling your hands, that will delete the noise. So if you're someone who is pretty stressed or anxious before you go to bed, doing this just before you get into bed can remove all of that negativity. You can do it first thing in the morning again to reset. So it depends on the individual, but absolutely, it's a very powerful way of deleting whatever's going on in here. But like I said in the beginning, we all have choices. You can do this before you get into bed. You can bring your focus here. You can delete everything. You can then choose to put the news on, and you can see what's going on in the world, and you can end up here. And now that doesn't mean to say that you don't care. It's just prioritizing your mental health, and you being a priority. And yeah, we can worry about the world and we can care about everything else, but it's making sure that you're focusing on you primarily, and then coming up here when you need to come up here.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. And it does remind me, I was trying to help somebody who has high blood pressure, and I'm trying to get them more in their diaphragmatic breath. And later on, let's say the week later, I said, "Oh, well, how are you getting with that practice?" And she said, "I can't do it. I can't do it." And I know that some people have what they call reverse breathing, so that as they inhale, the diaphragm's going up rather than down. How do you do you come across that at all?
Yeah, and it's interesting because I've had a couple of people that will Google, and they'll come in and say, I'm not going to be able to do this. So ultimately, they're there before they start, and it's the ego. So one way around that is to flip them. So put them, try it on. So what I would say is lie on your belly. So laying on your belly with your arms out and not worrying about the connected breath, but just focusing on trying to move the by inflating the belly, by moving the back up and down and allow and using the weight of the body to exhale. And again, there's no pressure. So allow, you can use your nose. And in that way you're removing one of the hurdles potentially, because when you introduce the mouth and the abdomen, oh, there's so much going on and I'm thinking too much, and so I would simplify it and say, right, let's go to a nasal breath, because remember there's no right or wrong, and get them lying on their belly and just get them relaxed, and I put my hand on the small of their back and I just get them to focus on my hand and moving the body up and down just gently. And the other thing as well is, it's a bit like saying, right, I'm going to do this every day and I'm going to do it for 3 hours. There you go. You're going to fail. And then, of course, you get up tomorrow. Oh, I haven't been able to do it for 3 hours. There's no point doing it. What a waste of time. Never set yourself up to fail. So just saying to someone, right, even the smallest inhale is a positive. So it's a hurdle. Not we've overcome the hurdle. There's a little bit of movement on the back, and that's great. So I'd lie on the belly, get them to relax, and just focus on moving the back. It doesn't matter how they're doing it. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about the science. Just get them to bring the breath, however they can, to there. So remove all of the hurdles, and then add things on as you go.
Yeah, that's great. So, I mean, the key is the diaphragmatic breath, isn't it? And getting that to open up.
Yeah, and I always say, when someone says to me, oh, I can't do this, well, you did when you were born. It's a bit like someone saying, ultimately, when we breathe in every day, we should be using our nose, 100%, and someone says, well, I can't breathe in and out through my nose. Well, as a baby, how did you feed? What do you mean? Well, if you were using your mouth to breathe when you were a baby, you can't feed. So this is the thing, we live here. So we get told, and we get diagnosed, and it sits. And of course, I see a lot of people now. I had a lady recently that I didn't even know it existed. There is actually a breath physio, and they charge about £175 for a session. And they're normally, they have lots of letters after their name. And ultimately, I did a session with this lady, and I said, there's nothing wrong with your breath. The challenge she had was that actually she was eating her food too quick, and the reason she was it was more a relationship she had with the food, because she was overweight, didn't like her self-image, and therefore ate really quickly so no one could see how much food she was eating, and yet she'd been diagnosed with having a breathing problem and was then sent to a breath physio at £175 an hour. Once we'd removed all of the challenges and the resistance, she was breathing, and it was like, wow, there you go, look at that, you can breathe. So most of the stuff sits here. It's moving the attention. And the other thing I say is, stop thinking and feel the breath. And at festivals, I get a lot of people ask questions about the science. I won't talk about science in a workshop, because that's here. It's not worth it. It's here.
Just to experience it.
Yeah, experience it, and it's individual, and for some people it doesn't work. I've had some people say, I had something on YouTube, and there was a lady that just said, I don't agree. It's low rubbish. It's fine. It's not a problem. It's not. It's not for everybody. It's not a drama.
No, nothing is for everybody. Yeah.
Exactly.
No. Thank you for that. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Not a problem.
Wonderful. Thank you for your question, Sally. And so we have come to the top of the hour here. And of course, we could talk for hours more, but really, this podcast are to introduce you to each other, to introduce you to breath work, maybe Alan himself or go and find a breath work near you. But come to Surrey or go and have a look at his website and get that 11 minutes guidance and give it a go. I mean, we just did that 10 minutes today. And when we did the and again, just a taster session in that event that we were both in, it was like, I think the whole thing was about an hour and a half, but it felt like 20 minutes or something. It was interesting. The time just went like that. And you mentioned something like you practice it all the time, Alan, didn't you? You said something like
Yeah,
that.
I pretty much, for me, I do my breath work first thing in the morning. I'll get up, walk the dog, and then I'll go and I'll just, I'd lay down, I relax. Because that's the other thing, should obviously mention. Ideally, you want to be laying down, feet bent, if you can. And again, there's some stuff on my website, or some links on YouTube. But yeah, and for me, it's a reset. I'll do it for a minimum 10 minutes. And yeah, you know what? If I can't do it for a particular reason, then I don't bash myself up about it. I don't allow that ego, but I try and do it if I can for 10 minutes. If I do a workshop or a festival, I do it afterwards. So if you've had a busy day with clients as a therapist, it's a really good way of just regulating and removing and reconnecting and resetting.
Wonderful. So I do encourage everybody, if this is calling you, you need to do it regularly, and as Alan was directing. And do get in touch and go and find out more from his website. So we've come to the top of the hour, and I just want to say thank you so, so much, Alan. That was fascinating and absolutely terrific. I know that it's had an immediate effect on me, and it's so subtle and had such a quick and helpful reaction for me. And I saw many other people get reactions too. And I want to say thank you, everybody, for joining us on the podcast. It all makes it what it is, the people watching and the people giving the information, the guests. I've been your host, Althea Finch, at the painfreedom.co.uk. And if you're watching this on recording, do please like, share, and like, share. What's the other one? Click like, share. Do all the buttons. You know what they are because it puts the word out there and helps many, many more people when you do those all those buttons. So, Alan, I always like to leave the last word to my guests. Would you like to leave our viewers with a word, a thought, a focus, something to go away with? And
Um,
then,
Yeah, it always come for me. It always comes back to the same thing, and that's it. Doesn't matter what you do, whether you're a nurse, a doctor, you're in the army, a teacher, or house husband, housewife. Ultimately, the most important thing for you to be is you, because it's an amazing example to show your children, your friends, shine your light, be the best version of you for you, and that's the best thing you can do, not only for you but that for those people around you.
thank you so much, Alan. That's perfect. Thank you. And do get in touch with Alan. And the recording will be on my website by tomorrow with all the contact details, or go straight there. What's the name of your website, Alan?
The website is www.breath, breatherapy.co.uk. So that's www.breaththerapy.co.uk.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And everyone's saying lots of thank yous in the comments there. And
Pleasure.
they've really enjoyed it. Wonderful. Thank you, Alan. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'll see you on the next one.
Take care. Thank you. See you later, Althea.